G'day everyone, Arjay here with Arjay's TINLA, episode 168. TINLA stands for This Is Not Legal Advice and Nor Is It. So in this little video, I'll be covering some of a speech from Clive Palmer that was today. Clive has, of course, the United Australia Party, which is currently led by Craig Kelly, MP, and basically the start was cut off. Unfortunately, there was an issue with the location, but you get an idea. So it would be really helpful if basically the smaller parties that apparently or supposedly have similar goals would merge and, have Clive's resources with this party's, popularity and this party's XYZ, and basically combine resources so they're not competing against each other, and you get the best of both worlds, having the best candidates from each party, the best resources, and going from there. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comments, and without further ado, the video will play now. Thank you. Bye. Also, please like, share and subscribe. Thank you.
But that'll be featuring in newspapers right around Australia in the next 3 weeks, right? Because it's the truth. Liberal and Labor are the same. I had dinner with one of the top Liberals in Australia four nights ago. I've known for 40 years as a friend, and he criticised me like I get criticised all the time. And he said to me, he just can't understand the sort of person I am. And I said, can you tell me one Liberal Party policy that's different from the Labor Party? Can you just tell me one policy off the top of your head? He thought for about half an hour. He said, I can't. He said, well, I'm sure there is one. We'll find it when we get back to the headquarters. But that's how close they are together. And that's why, we've got a great candidate in Nathan O'Brien, haven't we? Yeah. And we're really grateful that he stepped forward, because public service has no reward. History is its only reward. Doing the right thing for your members of your community, for the person that's sitting next to you today. That's what matters, because we all get together as a team, as one unified team. And that team is not just here in Fadden, it's stretched right across Australia. This week there's been 20 meetings with candidates. I haven't attended them all. Craig's attended some of them, other people have. In South Australia, in Tasmania, in Western Australia, and certainly in New South Wales. We've got 25,000 members in Sydney. And I talk to them. Some of them are double vaxxed. I'd say about half of them are double vaxxed. They got double vaxxed right at the beginning of the pandemic, and then they were locked down for 6 months. They couldn't go outside their doors. And they're angry. They're angry, right? And of course, a lot of them have had side effects. In my own family, my daughter's tutor just had a hysterectomy after getting the vaccine. Right? I spoke at the Brisbane rally, and a guy approached me who I knew from when I was in Parliament, who used to hate me. I thought, God, what's in here for? He must have a punch me or something. And he came up to me, I said, what are you doing here? He said, I'm here to hear you speak. I said, that sounds a bit strange. He said, come with me behind the bushes. I thought he was going to hit me. And I got behind the bushes, and there was his wife, and she lifted up a dress, and her stomach was completely covered with the operation. She'd lost nearly 1.5 meters of her intestines when she had the vaccine. So he's learned by same experience, and he was a member of Lou O'Brien's staff, and as a consequence of that, Lou O'Brien crossed the floor in Parliament with Craig Kelly on the last day. But courage is one of the rarest commodities in politics. All of you here today have exhibited that courage, right? That you're prepared to stand up for your country, for your fellow citizens, because you know how important it is. I'm very grateful to Nathan putting himself forward as a candidate to stand up for me as an elector of Fadden. I don't know who you'll be voting for, I think I do, but I'll be voting for Nathan. He's #1 in my book, there's no doubt about it. Right? So I did a function yesterday. We had 2 different candidates from Moncrief and from McPherson. The lady came up to me and said, oh, well, Mr. Palmer, she said, You're not as bad as I thought you were. So I hope you don't think I'm as bad as you thought I was. But it was really refreshing. Right, yeah, it really motivated me for the day. And as I said, we're standing candidates, if you can imagine, in 151 seats in the House of Representatives, 151. And well, I'm lucky I won the nomination to lead the Senate ticket. The Senate ticket was going to be led by Israel Folau. He's not allowed back in Australia. They wouldn't let him back. So I said to my wife, I bought a bottle of champagne and some flowers. she finally agreed to let me do it. Luckily she's not here because she really didn't need a mix if she was. But she agreed to let me do it. But I didn't, to be honest with you, have a great ambition of running and leading the Senate ticket across Australia. I wanted to do all I could do as a citizen to stop this happening. But I had no alternative, because the polls showed that we get an extra 5% of the vote if I stood. So I could not stand. I could not take up that challenge. And I want you to think of it the same way. I know some of the things we've got to volunteer for may be an inconvenience. I know they may be things you've never done before. But you think of that, can you afford not to do them at this critical time of our country's future? And so many people have wanted to help across the country and do things, and they've been so frustrated that Craig and I have been restraining from doing things, because we knew you've got to do it at the right time. And the right times are coming, and it's really approaching. Rupert Murdoch signed a contract with us to give us the last two weeks of the campaign, and every news limited publication in the country will be on full pages 2 and 3. Right? So that's all paid for already. So he wasn't such a bad guy, but he did take a lot of money from us. so he's done that. Right? And we are still fighting Facebook and YouTube, but we'll still keep at it. Right? And I think a lot of the things we've been on have been effective. Right? But you've got to realise what's ahead of this country. If we lose this election, we don't have the power to stop these people in their tracks and go bring in self-recognition technology and industry and policies of social credit, where they can rob your bank account, control your activities, and it's all about control. And this is the last time that we can change things. And that's why now more than ever, we've got to work hard together. We've got to leave no stone unturned. And we've got to be selfless in what we're doing. Because this company's been good to me. I'm sure it's been good to you. And the people who have gone before us have been good to us. They've fought for our freedom. They've set up the Commonwealth to be as strong as it has. And everyone says, what a great way of life we have in Australia. Well, now's the time to pay for it. It falls to this generation to make this stand at this critical moment in our history. And I don't shirk from that, I welcome it. You know, God's given me the ability to do what I can do. And we're fortunate to have a person with such courage as Craig Kelly. And yesterday in Sydney, we had 300,000 people rallying in the streets of Sydney. We had a march that was 2 kilometres long through the city. And even in Perth, the home of the Emperor McGowan, I addressed their rally on my mobile phone, and I addressed 45,000 people that had assembled to support our party. Right? So where we're going to is up to us. Right? That we've got the opportunity to win, we definitely have. Right? And there's no stone to be left unturned, that we're going to do everything we can do about it. Rallies and things like that are good, but you've got to get members of parliament in there that can make a difference. And fortunately, myself and Craig, if we get in there, we know these people pretty well, and we know how to deal with them pretty ruthlessly, right? So that you haven't got to worry about that, right? And when you see all the things on the media, just remember what I've told you today, that the name Liberal, Labor or Greens will not appear in the 6 preferences for the Senate. They've been ruled out absolutely, right? And not only have they been ruled out by me, by Craig, by our executive, but by all of our members, because they don't care about you. It's hard to believe they don't even care about your lives to such an extent that you're not significant to them, even when it comes to a conflict between you and $50. I said that to my wife over breakfast, and she said to me, well, Clive, she said, you've got to look at it from their point of view. I said, what do you mean from their point of view? And she said, well, each of them know that if they left Parliament, they couldn't get a job anywhere else. I said, well, that's right, you know. I remember one time when I was in the House of Representatives, I'd given a speech, and a couple of Labor senators came over and offered to take me out for dinner. So I think it was when I gave my valedictory speech for Malcolm Fraser. And we went out for dinner, we sat around the table, I talked a bit about my speech, but then I said, well, what speeches have you guys given lately? And they looked at each other. I said, well, I have given a speech. This guy's been in the Senate for 15 years. I said, when did you give it? He said, well, I got elected 15 years ago, right? And the other guy said he'd given a speech, you know, 5 or 6 years ago, another one 10, but they're taking $250,000 of taxpayer funds every year. I said, the least you can do is give a speech. And the guy said, oh, Clive, you know, you're not in the Labor Party. The Labor Party's really different. He said, when we leave this place, we can either be a union rep or we can be on a super fund. And if we say something, we might upset a faction and blow our career. And I said, well, you can't argue with that, can you? And that's one of the reasons why I never joined the Labor Party. Right? But it's not about me. It's not about them. It's about you. It's about your family. It's about my family too. But it's about all of us. I'm no different than anyone in this room. I still want a great society for my children to live in. And one of the things we've had in Australia is a classless society, where, you know, when you finish the day's work, you can go down and have a beer with your mates, regardless of what job you've done. You go to the football, you can go out fishing, you can do any of those things. That's the country that we love, and that's the country we won't have separated. And that's the country we'll fight for. And if need be, that's the country we'll die for. God bless you all, and thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you, Clive. I not only want to thank you for sharing just now, but I want to thank you for your commitment, your heart and gumption, for taking a stand and for fighting for us. You're able to do things that most of us can't, but you also can't do it alone. So you're a blessing. We pray for you. And just perhaps you've been prepared for such a time as this. I really believe that by all of us uniting together behind the party executive, it will see this nation turn around. So before you go today, please provide your volunteer forms to some of the team that's at the back, or my wife, Paula, who's waiting there. Please, we've got some light refreshments up towards the back of the room there for you to enjoy. You're welcome to stay, and I really just welcome you all to just get to know each other. And you know, we've got a long road ahead of us that we can do it. So ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our meeting. Thank you.
Yeah.